how does the secondary, how does the Notre Dame Fighting Irish D fight and stop what's probably going to be a first-round draft pick?
Well, it starts with their offensive line, which is the best one in the country. I think Georgia right now is ahead of Clemson, probably even better than Bama. I'm thinking Georgia right now is probably the best team in the country, and it's because of their offensive line, which I think every player on that line is probably going to be a NFL first-round draft pick. It's that kind of line. They're all NFL players on that Georgia line this year. And they're giving up. Notre Dame's giving like 50 pounds to them. Like the Notre Dame's defensive line, everybody's like averages 50 pounds less than everybody on Georgia's offensive line. So Notre Dame is going to have to find a way to contain with that offensive line, because if they're going to open up the holes for DeAndre Swift, and Swift runs all over Notre Dame, it's going to be a long night. So they're going to have to find a way to penetrate that offensive line.
Yeah, absolutely. And Swift is the Swiss Army knife for this for the Georgia Bulldogs, and a lot of people might say that he's the missing link. And I think there's even people that say on the dark horse side of things, he's a Heisman Trophy candidate this year. And if he comes out and has a big game against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, that'll help build that case immensely for DeAndre Swift. And I'm just waiting to get him in my fantasy football team. I'm sorry, but he's pretty awesome. Let's talk about Demetrius Robinson is another player who could have a big impact in tonight's game. What are your thoughts about him?
Yeah, that's the thing. Georgia, like I said, they have a bit question marks passing the ball. So we haven't had to see Fronway drop back and throw a whole lot against the other competition they play, because it's been blowouts by halftime. But they're going to go against the real secondary for once. So that's the question mark for Georgia, is the passing game, because they're all young receivers.
Speaking of secondaries, let's go over on the other side of the fence here with the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and that's Alohi Gilman. Alohi? How do you say it? Alohi Gilman? But anyway, he's a safety stud. And Alohi, he's a safety stud and a big-time difference maker on the defensive. And for the Irish, Gilman has recorded 13 tackles and a forced fumble so far this season. So certainly, as far as the defense in the secondary and stopping Swift, he's going to be a big part of that.
Yeah, he's actually the backbone of the defense, and he's NFL caliber defensive back. He'll make a lot of plays tonight. You'll see him a bunch. You'll hear his name a bunch. He'll be all over the field. I'm not worried about Alohi Gilman, but it's our defensive line that's really going to have to step up against that offensive line. That's where the battle's going to be at tonight.
Well, you guys got to again, I say you guys, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish have their work cut out. They're the underdog by 14.5. We'll see what happens. I think it's the last I checked, though, it's going to open up around 12.5, which is good somewhat, but that shows that people are showing a little bit more trust in Notre Dame, and we'll see how that gets closer to the game. But I just don't see it, buddy. I just don't see it. But again, what I would say is this. What I would definitely say is that if you can keep it close, but people are talking about this being a 48-17 game, a 34-7 game, 35-10 game, 41-10 game. If that's the ballpark, big time troubles for Notre Dame Fighting Irish. They've got to keep this game close.
Yeah, and even myself, I've just been guilty of saying, talking about this to other people, like Notre Dame is either going to win this game really close or they're going to lose by 50. I don't want it that way. If they're going to lose, I really just want this to be a close loss. I don't want them to go down there and get embarrassed. But they're going to have to play the best game of the season that they're going to have this year to even do that. Even with this loss here, a blowout loss will eliminate them from the playoffs. But even if they lose today, I still think Notre Dame could run the table from then on. USC is down. We know Michigan isn't that great this year. Stanford is not that great. I think the schedule they have for the rest of the year anyway, this could be an 11-1 season, which still be great. Won't be in the playoffs with a blowout loss today, but they keep it close and lose a close game and then still finish 11-1, they'll be in the conversation at the end of the year.
We're talking with Rick Riggen, our official college football contributor, Notre Dame extraordinaire, and Notre Dame fan. Big game tonight against the Georgia Bulldogs, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Notre Dame goes down to Athens, Georgia. They won't have any Texas Longhorns with them. Remember that when they brought the Longhorn out with the Bulldog, and it was like a total disaster. Let's move on to some of these other games. Auburn and Texas A&M. This is going to be one of those close games, and one that we don't even have to really worry about being close. 24-20 probably, 27-24 in that ballpark. It's going to be a very close game within a field goal. Auburn and Texas A&M. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think this is a game that Kalen Mond's really going to step up. I've been saying past couple weeks, I think Texas A&M they're definitely a top 5 team in the SEC. I do think they're a little more athletic than Auburn. Auburn, under Gus Malzahn, finds their way to winning games like this. I mean, everybody wants Malzahn fired, but, when he gets in games like this, we already saw it this year at Oregon. They beat Oregon, neutral site there in Dallas. I think Texas A&M gets a close win here because I think Texas A&M is just a little more athletic, better obviously at the quarterback position, even though Bo Nix is a true freshman and he's going to be great down the road here. I just think that A&M has better athletes, a little bit better quarterback, and I think it's a close win for A&M.
I wish we could talk about the top 25 and totally exclude the SEC, but it's just not the case. And Tennessee has fallen apart. Not only the Titans, but the Volunteers as well. And they go down to the Swamp to play the Gators. The Gators are very, very strong. I think a lot of people like Tennessee to win this game, but I honestly think this could be a 27-21 game in the favor of Florida.
Well, we have to get Clay Travis on the show here to talk about the Titans and the Vols. That'd be
Fire
great.
Everybody, damn it! Fire everybody! You're right. He was on a tear yesterday, wasn't he?
It would not surprise me if Tennessee got this win because now Florida's rolling out a new quarterback because Felipe Franks broke his ankle last week and is out for the year. So it wouldn't surprise me if Tennessee actually got this win, and that's what keeps Jeremy Pruitt hired on at Tennessee. I don't know how bad everybody's calling for his head just yet, but it's not going great at Tennessee. But it would not surprise me if they got a win today, just based off Florida not having a quarterback now.
We do need to get Clay Travis on this show, that's for sure, dang it. I mean, first of all, you would have to handle the interview because I'd be like starstruck. Just kidding. Let's talk about another big game in the SEC. We'll move on to some of these other teams. Of course, UK down at Mississippi. I'm split between this. It's got to be a 31-28 type game. Mississippi wins.
I want to give Kentucky the win here. I still think they're really good. I know they lost a lot from last year. They lost close to Florida a couple weeks ago. I'm going to give UK the win here.
See, being an IU guy, I can't give Purdue the win, and I can never give UK the win. So it is what it is. I'm going to roll with Mississippi State. I think it's a 50-50 shot on here on what you do. Let's talk about the number one team in the country. Again, not a lot going on over on the ACC network that most cable networks didn't have, but you're lucky enough to have them, so you will be able to watch this really big game between Clemson and Charlotte.
Yeah, I'm going to pick some high school team from your area or mine and go play them against Clemson because that's basically all they're playing against today. Some 4A, 5A powerhouse, high school football team in Charlotte. So I don't know why they schedule games like this and they want to be the number one team in the country. It's goofy. Just play some teams, you got Notre Dame, Georgia today. You got A&M and Auburn. You got Michigan and Wisconsin. Big marquee matchups, teams that are not afraid to play other good teams beginning of the year. So come on, Clemson, step up. Alabama's in the same boat. Alabama does this crap too, where they don't play anybody. They play 2 good games all year. So come on, guys.
Well, they need to pay a little bit of money. Clemson, Alabama, and Georgia need to pay a little bit of money and play the Dolphins and the Titans because they're sure to win those games.
Yeah, I think they beat the Dolphins, no doubt, this year.
Now, I do not think that the Titans are tanking. I do think they stink. And talking about Clay Travis, he said, burn down the village and start all over again. And I'm not far from his line of thinking, but I hope that the Titans keep going down this path of destruction. And the Jacksonville Jags, they got nothing. I mean, Nick Foles, God, what a good quarterback. We'll get into this a little bit with Ed Kratz in the next half hour, but what a good quarterback. He just, man, he gets riddled everywhere he goes, and they got a quarterback issue. And now I don't know that Nick's going to be the starting quarterback after what we saw Thursday night against the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, now if Gardner Minshew keeps playing the way he's playing, I mean, he was fearless throwing the ball downfield and making the plays. That's exactly what you want to see in the backup quarterback. So he might have he puts together another game like that, and he's probably earned himself the starting job the rest of the year.
What a better backup than the backup to the backup who taught the backup how to be the starting quarterback. The story could go on, but Alabama and Southern Miss, nothing to talk about there, but it's Alabama, and we need to talk about it.
I don't think we need to. I think we need to talk about Michigan, Wisconsin.
Okay. Go Badgers.
We don't want to leave that out. That's another top 10 matchup this week, and we're talking Alabama and Clemson and high school football teams.
No, you're absolutely right. Michigan's going to get smacked in the face by the Wisconsin Badgers, which I don't think any of us are going to be too unhappy about. And yet again, everybody's going to be okay with Jim Harbaugh's subpar, overrated performance.
Yeah, I think you're right, because they got to go to Camp Randall, one of the toughest places to play in the country. I don't know what that was against Army, in their last game 2 weeks ago, but maybe that's just a precursor, really. That's what Michigan is. It's a really boring offense. It's not creative. He turned the offensive play calling over to his offensive coordinator, which Harbaugh does not normally do, but the offense really isn't getting going, so I can see Harbaugh sticking his nose and putting his hands in the cookie jar, calling the plays tonight, and that's probably going to be their downfall again, because I don't see them beating Wisconsin. I know it's only a 3-point game, 3-point spread, but I think Wisconsin wins by a couple touchdowns here. So, and then we'll talk about Harbaugh. He should be fired or not fired. Then Michigan won't fire him because he brings money to the university still. So it's just a continuous loop every year with Michigan. They're going to lose 2 or 3 games that they should win. I don't know if today's one of those days where they should win a game, but they need to win this game. So they're going to lose tonight. They're going to lose to Notre Dame here in a few weeks. And they're not going to beat Ohio State this year, obviously. So there's 3 losses there. And then we'll see what they do in the bowl game. So,
well, Ohio State's got Miami of Ohio now. Again, talk about the high school. Well, you know what, Miami, Ohio, that's where Ben Roethlisberger went. And certainly an IU coach used to coach there. So God rest his soul. But, yeah. Ohio State.
Well,
again.
You know what? I should have had one of my best friends is on his way there right now. I think he's actually in Columbus, big Ohio State fan, and he's actually going to that game today. So I should have had him call in with us, on the road to Columbus and give us his take.
Yeah.
But this is not going to be. I think Ohio State's like a 40-point favorite. They're going to win by 40 easily, maybe even in the first half. So yeah, and then like I said, at the end of the year, Michigan's got to contend with that, even though it's going to be at the big house. But I think Ohio State rolls Michigan at the end of the year by 3 touchdowns. So, then the hardball thing continues.
Well, another game to keep our eyes on, and it's going to have to be our final game of this segment. But LSU at Vanderbilt, what are your thoughts?
Well, Vandy's rolling out some really cool-looking uniforms today. Man, I really like those alternate uniforms they're wearing today. They're like a black and white version. It's got it's got the chain and anchor. Kind of looks like a whole Navy theme on their helmet with the riveted, like, metal-looking helmets and everything. It's really, really neat looking. But LSU is another big powerhouse this year. LSU is legit this year. So maybe it's a team that can also contend with Bama in the SEC. LSU is that good. I would love to see LSU and Georgia hook up this year, not really Georgia and Bama, because LSU is playing scary good.
Scary good. Well, you just talk about the uniform modifications. I think the Bulldogs changed a little bit of their uniform as well.
I'm not real sure, but I do know they what they're doing some kind of like red out, even with all their LED lights in the stadium. I don't know, during timeouts or between quarters or whatever, or turn all the lights out, just have the red lights on or something. It's the first time they're trying that